What about the problem of evil? It's one I've thought about a good bit because my father raised me on books about the camps and the gulags. And I'd say the two parts of my answer, the first one is maybe alchemical, and the second one is in relation to reincarnation. And so, for the more mystical, alchemical view of it, I think part of it is that all of us are moving to and from God at all points, and all matter is. And everything started off at the Big Bang as light. Everything was light, and then it exploded from there, and eventually it settled into simpler molecules, and they gathered into stars, and those first generation stars became the pressure cookers that purified the matter or complicated the matter into these higher level elements like lead and gold. And it seems like that's going to keep spreading out until it gets cold and thin, and then it's going to come back to itself, as one of the theories says, and then it's going to come back to everything gathering together into another big point of light. So everything starts as light, goes out to become matter of the lowest form, and then back to light again. And so the idea that all of matter, but all of the spirit world as well, is always moving towards or away from the light in terms of how it's changing. It's yin and it's yang. And and because all of those are parts of God, it's the tapestry is too complicated for our brains to make sense out of how all that works together. And that bleeds into how I find reincarnation to be very comforting in a lot of ways. And though one thing I learned, I think this was from the Spiritist movement by Allan Kardec, which is one of the most influential things to me about this thinking. And it's a very theosophical, we come back many times to learn, we keep advancing, and it goes to higher powers, the whole entities thing and aliens, that was the fairy folks of other year, and that's higher level spirits. And then there's powers, great powers beyond our command. We're way down here, just where matter meets spirit. And the thing about reincarnation is the idea that you get to choose the life that you want. You come back here to learn a lesson, and you decide the basic place and lessons that you can learn in this life. And it is a very special time to come here. In some ways, the spirits are envious of us because we get to do a lot of work here in this world. Something special about the state of matter. Maybe it's sex or food or the materialness of it. But this mixture of what we are, we can do a lot of learning here, or we can, waste the opportunity. And when my godmother told me that in the Ifa tradition, people tend to reincarnate in their own family lineage, that also was a big light bulb moment. Like, of course, that explains so much about how the world works. But in terms of evil, one of the things I've heard said is when spirits go back to the spirit world, they consider the worst of the afflictions and horrors that happen to them here as no worse than a bad head cold. And so while to us it seems very alive and terrible, once we get back to the spirit world, it isn't. It's just part of the lesson and part of what we had to go through. And so it's not quite as intense as we think it is. And I know that isn't very comforting. People are in very hard spots right now, but it does comfort me that we're here to learn something. And once we get away from this plane, it actually isn't as bad as we thought it was. And it was what it took to learn this lesson. And so we go back and we do this many times, thousands of times, tens of thousands of times. We keep coming back and learning these lessons until we finally become someone who can go to the next level, to graduate, to whatever that means. Every tradition has their theories on that. And again, it's not something I care about that much, exactly how all that works. The work to be done right now is pretty clear. And the Bhagavad Gita is excellent about it. You're looking for right action, and you're not looking for the fruits of your labor. And in the complexities of human interactions, you're looking to be someone who does right action. And sometimes that means fighting against other people, fighting against fascism, fighting for the rights of queer people and other people who are marginalized. and fighting for a stronger social safety network for everybody in the world. And so, whatever evil is, I don't think we really get to know, but it's part of this learning process, and it's still a part of God. It's God observing themselves, coming back to themselves, and we're part of that dance. And what we do matters very much. Just like it takes 10,000 mice in Lord of the Rings to kill one giant. We're those little mice. The little fights we're doing matter to the great powers a little bit. And we're here to do our great effort and to keep getting better. We should be forgiving of ourselves because we are messy humans and we're never going to get things exactly right. But if you're trying to move towards right action, I think that's the best you can do. And whatever the mystery of evil is, it is the thing that we're trying to create less of in the world and to move all of ourselves towards more golden living.